timer has like 2.5 minutes left, or 3.5 minutes left to go, but we're just gonna go ahead and start this. Swebme said, chaos and chaos it shall be. Sort of, semi-chaos. Anyways, let me go get set up. I probably should have finished getting set up with all my stuff before I aggressively canceled the countdown timer with all the music. Like, that's still in the fun music section. Let me go and find my channel and head over here to view channel. And then go to videos. Nope, we'll go to live. And then we are live right now. It looks like it says no views. Did I turn it off? What's going on here? What's going on here? You guys can all see me, right? I'm still good, right? Am I good? Why can't I cannot see me here. So tell me if you see me, because I don't see me. Nope, I'm here. Okay, cool. Cool. I'm here. Anyways. You're good. Yeah, I opened up my thingy. I opened up my phone, and I went to my, section, and it said live, but I couldn't click on it, and it seemed to imply that it was over, which would not be good, but I am good, apparently. So, I got my coffee. I'm doing my 4 o'clock afternoon coffee along with my 4 o'clock afternoon video. Fun fact, I may have said this in other videos, but my coffee schedule is whenever I wake up, and then roughly 4 p.m. That's my coffee schedule. My video schedule, that's a little more, I guess, chaotic, but the usual version is 10 a.m., and then either if it's a 3-day videos, then it's 10, 1, and 4, and if it's 2 a day, then it's 10 and 4, and if it's 1, then it's 10. That's the usual schedule we go with. But I am doing my month in review live. I have my phone. I'm going to need my phone. I can't do chat and my phone at the same time. I could. I just have to switch back and forth. I'm going to be doing my month in review live to solve 2 problems. The first problem is the fact that I have to do my month in review video, and I said at my other video today that it would be done today. That problem on its own means I would have just filmed it and then had it up. My month in review, I already, it's an easy one to do, so that one I would have just had up. The second problem is that it's been a few weeks without a live stream because of all the travel. And so I was going to have a live stream yesterday, and that didn't happen because I was playing a game on TTS called Star Clash. Great game. I wish it looked better, but oh my gosh, great game. It's so much fun. But I was playing a game called Star Clash. And the video timing, the timing of everything went over. So my 1 o'clock live stream didn't happen yesterday. By the time I was done with everything, it was 2. And I was like, I could cram a last minute live stream in, or I could just do something tomorrow. And tomorrow it was. So that's kind of why we're here. Second cup of coffee when your serotonin dips smart. Yeah, there's actually a lot of science behind that stuff. Give me 1 second. So we'll do the month in review, but as usual, chaos and whatnot. So we'll lean into whatever we need to lean into. But as far as serotonin, yeah, a lot of people don't know the full aspect of coffee, but basically what happens is, I'm going to kind of give the distilled version and the whatever version I know of how coffee works. But effectively, there's all these emitters you have, and coffee kind of matches the emitters that would make you tired. And so it kind of fills your serotonin spots or whatever it is. It's a whole linking thing. Again, very non-sciencey. But it does mean that effectively your coffee, the caffeine, fills certain spots that would otherwise make you tired and pretends that you're not tired, which is great. But then eventually it goes away, and the tiredness catches up to fill those spots, unless you have another coffee, which is why a second cup of coffee can be helpful to avoid a late afternoon crash. It's also why, over time, your body builds up more of these, which is why caffeine tolerance does build up. And it's also why if you go off of caffeine, suddenly you have these extra emitters that have all been building up expecting this caffeine that are no longer going to be satiated, and it's why you get headaches until your body readjusts to no caffeine. There's much better videos than this, but that's the very short, very non-sciencey version. Anyways, let's go ahead to chat. It's going to be a little bit of chat, a little bit of week in review. Yes, it is a Friday afternoon live. I smell chaos in the air. Minor chaos. This continues the trend of just leaning into doing more live content in whatever format works out, whether it's taking a regular video format, such as my Should You Back It or my month in review, and doing a live version of it here and there, not the regular, but just here and there, or alternatively, chaos. This is going to be more the former than the chaos one. Happy Perm. Yes, Brian, it is indeed Perm today. Thank you very much. Kids dressed up as pirates and lifeguards and sharks, which is a nice combination. Very aquatic theme going on. What type of pie is everyone having today? I'm not having pie. I almost had a butter pecan pie yesterday, but I'm aggressively dieting right now. I'm aggressively. I know I just filmed my New Year's goals or whatnot, and I was like, I will be calm and patient and just want to lose 10 pounds by the end of the year. And now I'm like, no, I want to lose 10 pounds by the end of the month. We'll see what happens, but I have, you know what? Let's dive into the first section and we'll come back to this. Okay, so first section is as follows. Let me open up my BG stats. I'm basically going to do my my month in review the way I normally structure it. So I didn't even put it together. Basically, I'm going to be going through what I do for my month in review, but I'm doing it live, which means you get to watch me, figure it all out as we go. So to that end, my very first section is my board game stats for the month. So at this point, I pull up BG Stats over here. BG Stats, great tool, highly recommend it. I go back to February over here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and tell you the stuff. Although again, normally I structure this together. Now I'm just going to go ahead and tell you it all together. So first of all, in February, I have 156 logged plays. That's less than the 188 I have for January, but still a pretty good number. It's better than where I was trending last year. So again, we still are up from last year. Although I didn't actually, you know what? I haven't done this. Let me go find my total plays. So in 2020, it's going to take a little bit of time to load here. And I'm only going to go back to 2022. I'm not going to go through all time. 2022, I played 1,280 games. In 2023, I played, 2,124 games. Okay, 2,124 in 2023. In 2024, I dipped from 2,123 to 1,371. So a big jump from 2022, but a big drop from 2023. 2023 was a crazy year, like crazy as far as me powering through a whole lot of games. And in 2025, where from the first 2 months, I'm already at I guess it's counting part of March, so it's not fair. I'm roughly 400 plays, let's say, which puts me currently on track to hit, if it's 200 plays a month, 200 plays a month is times 12, it's 2,400. Oh my gosh, am I on track? No way. In 2025, I have over 400 plays logged, but half of that's March. If we count just, let's go to 2025. Let's go back to month. Give me a second here. If I go back to month, in February I have 156. In January I have 188. How many do I have in March? Oh, I guess we're halfway through March already. So less than 200 plays a month. Yeah, we're on track for a good number. Not 2,120, but so far it's on track for a good number. Anyways, I'll come back to chat soon. I'm going to go through the section and then come back to chat. So, as far as February goes, though, like I said already, we have 156 plays. From those, 70 different games played, 36 of which are new to me. So slightly more than half of the games are new to me games that I played. I mentioned already I've been doing a lot of like these BGA, like trying a new game like every 3 or 4 days just for the sake of getting new games played. Then, as far as my games above 5, it's actually widely distributed. I don't have that many games that have 5 plays this month. I have My City with 5 plays, Shuffleboard with 5 plays, Revive with 9 plays. I'm doing a 12x12 on Revive coming up soon. So Revive is currently my focus for that. I'm trying to bring 12x12 back, but it does require a lot of dedication. But Revive has 9 plays, and then The Mind has 10 plays, and then Fellowship of the Ring has 11 plays. Okay? Someone's messaging me. I'm going to ignore that. Fellowship of the Ring is 11 plays. That is what I have as far as the games I played more than 5 times for the month of February. That's my overall stats, which means at this point we can come back to chat and see how chat's doing. I'm going to go section by section. I'm going to alternate chat and sections. Okay, what type of pies are we having today? I was talking about that. Oh yeah, so I was talking about dieting and stuff. So I've lost weight successfully, I want to say 2 times maybe? Was it only 2? I mean, I've done dips and whatnot, but I think I've really lost weight twice. Was it only twice? Or was it 3 times? I think it was only twice. But basically where I went up to I think the first time I went up to 210 and dropped down to 150. And the second time I went back up to 205 and then dropped again to 155. So less of a drop, but, still a big jump down. And I've slowly crept back up to the point that I'm back at like 190. And my usual resting weight is usually around 165, maybe 170. That's my resting weight, like after I'm done with the swings. That's when I'm able to be somewhat stable. But like over the past few years, I managed to put back like 20 pounds back on. And I was like, you know what? I'm not interested in doing the slow thing. I'm full on calorie counting everything, being mindful, getting my exercise and all that. And we'll see how it goes. Talk to me in, a month and we'll see. But I'm hoping to drop like 10 pounds in the next month and then slowing down a bit. Well, because also I have no travel for the next 2 months, and travel is the thing that really gets in the way. But we'll see what happens. Anyways, enjoy my coffee. My coffee is 400 calories a day goes to coffee. Brian, hello Swab. Brian, what have you been playing lately? Madara, Black Rose, BG Stats app. Are you going to Should You Back pre-order for Rainbow Six Siege? I wasn't planning on it. I don't do Should You Backs as often as I used to, and I don't think I've ever done it for a pre-order. I'm legitimately surprised by how many people don't use BG Snaps because it costs like $3. Really? Is that too expensive? I think there's a degree of not wanting to spend money on apps. Like, just to give you one weird example here for myself, I liked It Takes Two a lot, and so because of that, I played with my daughter, and because of that, we just bought Split Fiction, which is the new version. It's a couch co-op game. We just bought it, $50. I don't usually buy games when they're brand new, but like this is an exception I made. I've been waiting for it. I'm excited for it, so I bought it brand new, $50. I usually wait till on sale, and I buy it from anywhere from like 25% off to sometimes like 50, 100, like 90% off. I'm usually not in a rush, but anyways, I bought Split Fiction, $50, no problem. My son comes to me today and says, hey, can we buy like X amount of coins for a game that they play? It's coins for an app. And I'm like, it's like, I don't know, $7 worth. And I'm like, nope, absolutely not. I mean, I said it nicer than that, but I'm like, absolutely not. In a million years is it happening. I'm not buying coins for an app. I just spent $50 for a video game to play with my daughter, but I'm not going to spend $7 on coins for an app that he uses on a regular basis and would probably get a lot of value out of that $7 of coins. And we actually are going to buy like some things a little bit, but my initial gut instinct is I don't want to spend money on coins for an app. That to me is I'm so against that. It's not about the money even. It's just that I will buy a game. I'll buy a complete game. I'm not playing your stupid monetization loot box system. But some people have that with apps in general. I don't pay for apps. I only use free apps. I'm with you. I think just buy it. Are we going to get your thoughts on Simon's warning of financial losses? Yeah, I don't know if I have strong thoughts on it. My general thoughts is, first thought is, this is always true, but it's more true when you read an article like that, which is, don't back Simon games if you can't afford the risk of having them collapse. Meaning, if you're someone who backs most Simon campaigns, let's say 75%, well, that's a lot of games in the bag if it does eventually go south. And that's always true, but it's more true when they're like, hey, we lost money last year, so things are not as good. That's definitely more true. Am I actually nervous myself? And please consider all GameFound bias aside, because they use GameFound, obviously. I'm not trying to create fear-mongering, but I'm not as worried. They've had these things, like if you remember, like 4 years ago, 3 years ago, there was this big, like, giant fear-mongering around the exact same thing. And then fast forward 4 years, they've continuously delivered every single game. They've never asked for more money. Yes, they've had their snafus as far as what they charge for shipping and things. They never once asked for more money, and they've continuously delivered. Out of all the companies that have had issues, Simon has done fine. And I don't know what the future holds totally, but I would say I'm not personally worried, but I would say the article makes me more mindful. Mindful is the word I would use. There's a lot of other things that would scare me a lot more than them reporting losses last year while still having done in general overall good. All right, next section, and then we're going to come back. All right. We're going to come back to this section. My favorite videos which I watched this month. Oh my gosh, this is going to be a pain because I'm going to have to like drop chat and then come back to chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through my subscriptions and find a bunch of videos. Now, I usually actually have notes, by the way. And I'm usually, okay, there's going to be two things that are different for this section because these are my favorite videos from other creators. The two differences from other sections is normally I watch these first, and some of these I might not watch. I might be recommending them based on the title and the title alone without having watched them. That's a big disclaimer. The second disclaimer is usually I have these listed as I go through the month. I just haven't, I think, okay, my usual process for this is I'll usually, by the time I get to the end of the month and I'm doing my month in review, I'll have had 3 or 4 videos that pop up. Sometimes it's all 5. Sometimes it's full. But usually I think it's like 3 to 4 videos throughout the month where I've taken notes on as I saw them and I watched them. I was like, oh, it's a good video to talk about. And then I get to the end of the month and I'm like, I still need 1 or 2, and I scroll through my subs until I find something that as a cat stands out to me, watch it to make sure I actually recommend it, and then talk with them. This month I'm just going by the titles alone because I don't have any of those. And I'm going to talk about the titles and why they intrigue me. So I'm literally just going to scroll down through my subs over here, trying to find only board game stuff because there's so many non-board game stuff to watch. So I'll start with this one. Chris George, who is just at Dice Tower West, has 19 great games played at Dice Tower West. That's great. It's an hour of him talking about 19 games he played. So if you want to see a bunch of games that he played at Dice Tower West, probably running WSBG, that's going to be my first one I recommend. So Chris George, 19 great games to play at Dice Tower West. Moving on from there, we're going to keep scrolling until it looks like Tom did a quick take review of Top Tier, which I haven't reviewed. It's my games leaving the collection, but review should be coming soon on that one. There were some other ones I saw. There was one from King of Average recently that I did see the title and I wanted to watch it, but I didn't actually watch it yet. Let me scroll. I have so many subscriptions, it's a little insane. King of Average had one, and there's another creator, Tim Chun, had one. And there are people who I talk about more consistently. If I subscribe to you, I'm going to recommend your content more consistently. It looks like Dragon Eclipse. It looks like Before You Play did a Dragon Eclipse How to Play, which I find fascinating because I don't know if that's typically their type of game. It's sponsored content, sponsored how to play, but I don't think of it as their type of game. They're much more into Euros. But let's go ahead and give, before you play, a shout out for the Dragon Eclipse how to play. Then we have, moving on over here, where's that King of Average one? I have so many subscriptions. Too many subscriptions, one would say. I'm scrolling through all my non-board game stuff. That there's a lot of interesting non-board game stuff. Speaking of which, I recommended a non-board game video I recommended on my community tab. Some people were happy about it. Some people were like, don't get political. And I don't know all of your thoughts, but it wasn't even political, but there's definitely a political aspect to it. It was basically a video called, why we're not all getting rich off of compound interest. Highly recommend watching that video. I personally, oh my gosh, Zombicide White Death. One Stop Co-op Shop has a review copy of Zombicide White Death. I need to figure out how to get my hands on that. It's the only Zombicide I haven't played yet. But the compound interest video, anyone who sees it as political, I recommend taking those glasses off for a little bit. I think this guy, Gary, does these videos that are in economics that I found him from, Rodney Smith has been sharing his content, and he's very well articulated as far as how he explains a lot of the general middle class myths. That's a lot of what it's doing, is dispelling a lot of middle class myths. And I think it's worth, as a good general sign, if you have one house, if you own a single house and you're happy when property values rise, you're celebrating your own demise. He goes into that stuff a lot, but it's fascinating. Now, if you own multiple houses, if you own 7 houses or 3 houses or 2 houses, there's a different argument to be made. But if you own one house and you see your property values rise, you are effectively celebrating the death of the middle class. It's more complicated than that. I'm not going to do it all right now, but I definitely recommend checking it out. We'll make that one of my recommendations for the month, a non-board game video. Where's the King of Average video? And I'll catch up with chat in a second. King of Average had a video that I saw the title and I was like, that's a good one. You know what? We're going to just go find it right now. We have 2 more to go, so we're just going to go search for it because, again, I saw them. King of Average. He had a video I wanted to watch. Kickstarter takes your money on a known scam. Hollow actions from a hollow company. I don't know if he means the company or Kickstarter. But I am very intrigued by that one. I will be watching that. It's a 22-minute long video that I will be watching from 8 days ago. Oh, that's technically March. This is the problem with doing it live and forgetting that that's March. Nonetheless, that's going to be your suggestion. And then Tim Chun had another video that I saw the title and I wanted to watch. And that's going to be our last recommendation. And then we'll catch up with chat before going to the next section. Tim Chun had 6 reasons what gets me to back a board game. I am always intrigued by those videos. I love putting up videos like those, things that immediately push me off of a board game and things that immediately capture me in a campaign. Things that push me off a campaign and things that pull me into a campaign. I love that stuff. And now it's time to go back to chat. There's your 5 recommendations. Okay. The fact that you can... Split Fiction is so fun for me and one of my buddies. Yes, amazing. Brian, Alex, Revive with Abyss. So this is a 12 by 12 review. So my 12 by 12 review, so yes is the answer. But my 12 by 12 review format means I want to play it at all player counts in all ways possible. I don't know if it has a solo mode, so I can't comment on that. I think it does have a solo mode. I probably should play it solo to be able to comment on it. I'll have to double check the solo. But I will say, so to that end, for Revive, I have played through the entire campaign, which is a 5 campaign arc from the base game. I have played it with Abyss so far. I have played it without Abyss, with the campaign, without the campaign. I have played the A sides and the B sides of, I want to say, every single faction, if I'm not mistaken. And I want to say that I've played it at all player counts, 2, 3, and 4. I've not played it at 1, but I played it at 2, 3, and 4. And then what's the last thing I want to say? Oh, and I played it with the modified rules around game length at lower player counts. So if you play at lower player counts, you can include more artifacts to have a longer game. So far I've played it at all of those, and the only thing I haven't done is solo, and honestly, I think the only thing I have left to do is solo. So I've been going back and forth, but again, I want to give my full thoughts on the experience. I've already reviewed Abyss and I already reviewed Revive, but there's a difference between playing the games and then really diving into them fully, which is why I like the 12 by 12 series, and it's also why they're so infrequent on the channel, despite me wanting to be more frequent. The fact that you can buy Split Fiction and get a copy to play with somebody else is so consumer friendly. Yeah, I mean, if it's couch co-op, I think they have to, but it's also consumer friendly, because otherwise it's a $100 game. I'm interested to see how the U.S. economic chaos is going to affect crowdfunding. I know our household is culling as much discretionary spending as possible, including crowdfunding. Yeah, you should. It's crazy out there right now. It's crazy. It's beyond insane. I'm not going to get too heavily into politics right now. I'm going to get a little into politics. I think if you were anti-Trump from the get-go, enough said. I don't think we need to add to that. I think if you were pro-Trump, I'm very curious. From the people who are pro-Trump, I am very curious which of his actions they are still pro versus which they aren't. Anything from, politics with Ukraine, like anyone who cheered like the defense of Ukraine and for Ukraine and now is like, oh, well, Zelensky's the worst and whatever, like that requires a mental pivot. It requires a big mental pivot to have one stance, and then when the person you voted for changes the stance, you change with it. That's a big mental pivot, and it should force you to re-examine your own personal thoughts. Meaning, if you thought one thing and you still think one thing, sure. If the only reason you changed your mind on something is because a person you voted for did the thing that forced you to change your mind, that is a thought you should have for yourself. And again, I'm saying this with no judgment. I've said this on the channel before. I'm some. This is the stuff that gets me in trouble. I am somebody that the first time Trump was running for office, I was for it. I've never voted. I'm a green card citizen, but I was for Trump. Voting is not, I didn't vote, but I definitely was for him. I thought he'd shake things up. I definitely grew up more Republican. I'm more centrist now, but I was for what he was doing. By the time he was done with his first term in office, I had changed my mind and thought there was too much chaos attached to what he represented. And so by the time we were voting this time around, I was not for him. But I was so wrong about how much chaos he could bring to the table. Now, again, I think this is where I'm trying to not get too political. I think there are reasons that make sense as to why people would have voted for Trump, even if I don't personally believe that. I think there's many reasons I think there's many good reasons not to vote for him, and many good reasons to vote for him. For me, my personal scale landed on I wouldn't support him this time around. But I am fascinated because, like, if you voted for him, or did you vote for him but you don't like the tariffs? You do or don't like how Ukraine's being handled? I'm just curious. I'm not asking for actual answers here. It's just like a food for thought kind of thing of, did people get what they signed up for? Is kind of the question. And I don't say this with blame. I don't say this with anything. I know there'll be people who would be quick to jump on the, well, you asked for it. No, I think people make mistakes, and I'm curious whether people view it. I'm curious what percentage of the people who voted for Trump view it as a mistake at this point, and which percentage don't. And I say that with curiosity and not blame. Hopefully that's how political do we want to get. How much trouble do I want to get in Friday afternoon on Perm? Anyways. My coffee's not charging it. It's not plugged in. Oh my gosh, my Ember thing. This is the worst. Give me a second here. My Ember thingy wasn't plugged in. My coffee's been losing charge the entire time. Okay, we're going to do a few more comments and then go back to month in review. Brian, LMS has a lot of outstanding campaigns and are creating new ones that make me more nervous. They deliver but are slow. Yeah, I would say they fall in the same category as Simon for me, where I'm mindful but not scared. ACS, Chag Sameach, ACS. Brian, Alex, what do you think about the Lost News Varnak Adventure Chest? Is it something you would get? Yes, 100%. Do you think it's a good thing that it's a limited print run? I was surprised by that. I don't know why CGE doesn't strike me as a company that would do that. I'm confused by that. Professor Meg, have we talked about Puerto Rico yet? Oh my gosh, Meg is obsessed with Puerto Rico. Meg is obsessed with Puerto Rico. I like Puerto Rico. Meg has been on a bender. Brian, Meg, Jason, definitely not happening when my house's value goes up. Yes. And again, it's complicated. In theory, if you own 7 houses, seeing the housing market go up is a good thing. If you own 1 house, you still need a house to live. But also, like, if you have 1 house and more than 1 kid, you're basically happy when your kid's life is getting harder, which is the complicated part. Whole long conversation to go there. We're going to go back to our month in review and continue back with chat soon. Best new games of the month. That's our next section over here. Best new games of the month. So bringing me back to BG Stats, so I get to ignore chat for a second. I'll once again go to my insights for the month of March. And this is, I'll just go ahead, February. And this is where I'll just go ahead and check out my little tags. And I don't think there were a ton, but Best New Games has 5 games. So let's go through the best 5 new games of the month. There weren't a ton. Architects of Amiatis is one. Link City is another. So Architects, Link City. Rococo's probably there. I don't think I'm keeping it, but that's because I have too many other games that are good. But I think Rococo would get one of the best new games of the month for me. First time playing it. Rococo, Architects, Amitis. Rococo, Architects, Amitis. Do I give Scales of Fate? Not yet, not yet. Rococo, Architects, Amitis. Rise of Mythos Cthulhu. Rise of Myths Cthulhu. Okay, that's up there, because I talked about this in my earlier today video. Those are the two. What would I say? Oh my gosh. Architects, Rococo, Amitis. Did I already lose track of all my games? I already lost track of it. Architects. Oh, Link City. Architects, Link City, Rococo, Amitis. Okay. And then Rise of Myths. Yeah, I think that would be the order. Looking at all my tagged as new for the month. So in order from most, Rise of Myths is, Rise of Myths might be my favorite. Then Link City. Then Architects. Then, did I lose track again? Rococo and what was the other one? Rococo? I lost track of one. I already forgot. Rococo, Amitis. I feel like I lost one. I lost one. Thrones. I mentioned Scales of Fate. If I can't remember if I did 5 or 4 there, but if I'm missing one, you can throw Scales of Fate on there. I do like Scales of Fate. I don't think I'm keeping it though, but I do like it. But it would probably be number 5. Anyways, that's our best new games of the month. We covered our best new games of the month, although trying to track it all ahead is a little harder. Let's go back to chat. Definitely not happy my house value goes up. Jason, then the city wants more property taxes. That's another thing, by the way. Oh my gosh. Applenees, it really only means more tax will be due. Brian, the explanation behind Ukraine is the invasion was horrible. Russia's at fault. The reality is Ukraine cannot defeat Russia. So do you fund forever to a draw or loss, or do you push for resolution? These are all good questions. The thing that before we even get to the reasons behind it, I would say, before we get to the reasons, I would say that when you support something because your party supports it, that's party politics. When you support something because of the reasons behind it, then that's very different. And I think anyone who changed their mind on Ukraine just because Trump seems to have changed his mind on Ukraine, I would say that's leaning towards party politics, even if you can justify it after. Because I would guess that many of those people, if Biden had done the same thing, they would be like up in arms against it. So you have to be mindful as to what came first, the reason or the instinct to change your mind, if that makes sense. So if you start with, oh yeah, of course the US has to change its policy. Oh look, Trump's doing it too. That's probably home free and clear. If you start with Trump's changing the US's policy, therefore let me find the reasons why it makes sense, it's probably less free and clear. You might be all kosher, but I would say that it starts to smell of party politics at that point. Mystery Miller. I'm talking about politics, religion, organizations, people. I always say there are things I agree and disagree, and that's what makes me an individual. Yes, I love that. I think that I do not have a party at all at this point. I have opinions, and opinions that I have will line up with different parties in different ways. Yeah, I'll have to watch my subscriber count today, see how many people I lost, because, again, the tricky part of being centrist is there are people who are pro one side that'll say you're causing damage for being in the middle, and there's people that are pro the other side that'll say you're causing damage by being in the middle. So you can't make everyone happy, but I also this is what I talked about recently in that other video, I'm not here to just talk board games. Board games are obviously the main focus of the channel, but I am a person, I am an individual, and if I have to cover up and bury every single part of me to be palatable to the general public, that's just not fun. Okay, coffee's starting to get warm again. ACS, I voted for Trump. I don't view it as a mistake. However, I knew that he isn't the perfect choice, but in my opinion, he was a better choice than Kamala. I'm not super political, though. Oh, that is a debate I would happily have with you on a personal level. I would love to have the debate on a personal level, because I know you personally. But it's not a debate. Again, I'm not here to argue. I'm here to talk right now, but I'm not trying to argue or shame anyone in either direction. Headband, when you keep games, do you keep them with all the extras like stock with all the miniatures? Yes, generally, yes. Applebee's, it's probably fair to say that nobody here is super political, since if they were, they would be watching Trump address to the DOJ right now instead of hanging out. I didn't even know that was happening right now. That makes sense. That's a fair point. But also there's political, I don't know. There's super political, and then there's just hating the situation in the world. Anyway, next category, my disappointments of the month. While we're here, my disappointments. Let's go ahead and look at my disappointments. So again, I look at my new games, and I talk about the games that I expected X, and it let me down. So in order to be a disappointment, it has to be something that what I got was lower than I expected. And it could mean that I was expecting bad and it was worse. It could mean I was expecting it good and it was not good. But either way, it's just reflecting that disappointment aspect. And I don't know if there's usually not a ton of these, but I will say currently Dead Cells falls into the disappointment category. Currently. Despite me enjoying it, and despite the fact that I'm going to continue playing it, I was expecting to like it a lot more than I currently am. So Dead Cells is currently a disappointment with the possibility that that changes. So that's going to be 1 right now. Outside of that, Catan New Energies was also a disappointment. I was not expecting it to blow me away, but I was expecting it to be at least Catan good, and that one was definitely a big disappointment. It was just Catan, but fiddlier, in my opinion. I did not like it at all. Star Wars The Clone Wars was a disappointment. I was looking forward to that one, and I just felt it was not a good implementation of the pandemic system. It is well rated, so I think it's me, but I didn't like that one. Sneferu is probably a disappointment. I was pretty excited. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, you're going to blow me away. But Sneferu was one that I was expecting a fun system, and I just felt like a constrained system. It didn't feel... I definitely was disappointed by that one. A lot. Not a lot, but like, some amount. And then, do I have another one? I don't know if I have another one. I could argue that Tug of War was a disappointment. There were these 3 campaigns, Tug of War, Thieves of Eldris, and Crits and Tricks. And Thieves of Eldris, I had no expectations, and it's my least favorite, but I had no expectations one way or the other. Crits and Tricks, I expected to like, and I did. And Tug of War, I expected to like the most from them, and I don't. I like Crits and Tricks the most. So you can make a reasonable argument that Tug of War was a bit of a disappointment. It's not a bad game. It's a fun lane battling system, but I think that was the one I thought I would like the most, and I liked it the medium. So there's some degree of disappointment. So look at that. I managed to find 5. Well, again, 5 with the caveat that, again, I don't know. They're not all disappointments per se. Anyways, moving on to back to chat. I never had strong thoughts on Ukraine or tariffs. I align more with Ben Shapiro, though. Oh, ACS, you're going to get in trouble in this chat. Everyone be nice. Be nice. Okay. Jeremy. ACS, to be clear, the reason you would get in trouble is because I do find that the board game space, I don't know what percentage leans one way or the other, but I do find that in the board game space, people who are more on the left are willing to say everything they think, and people who are more on the right usually don't say anything because they will get yelled at. Now, I think life is very complicated, and I think there are things that there are people on the right who I want to yell at, there's people on the left I want to yell at, but I do think that in general, being open about anyone who likes Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, or voted for Trump, those are things that if you say those things out loud, you can get in trouble for it. Regardless of the opinions. I just find the space is more welcoming to... I don't even know the percentage of people in the space. It's one of those classic things where half the country voted for him, but like you talk to people and it's like seems like everyone's on the other side. So life is complicated, but also, yeah. Jeremy, I'm happy you don't shy away from topics, fully support open discussion. Thank you, Jeremy. I do too. It just can get you in trouble. Like, this is one of those things you can find... If the people who are really looking to stir the pot can easily like find a section of this stream today, clip it in some way, post it to some board game group, and watch me get attacked by who knows who. Obviously, I think if you watch the stream, I think there's enough context in everything that I will happily defend everything I said. But it just, there's people who are looking for, like, even when I sit there and say, hey, I'm not looking to blame people who voted for Trump, but I am curious if they still think the same thing. There's people who want to blame, and it makes sense, by the way. Like, if you're watching the economy go through the craziness it's going through right now, and there's people who are like, well, yeah, half the country voted for them, we should not let those people get away with it. I think life is more complicated than that, but I understand the frustration on all sides. Brian, I will end up watching it later when Asmon reacts to it. Apple? What's Apple? Oh, Asmongold reacting to the God. Okay. Professor Meg, why should we go all in on the new Puerto Rico? I'm not confident you should go all in. I think the medium pledge is probably the way to go. The all in has all those extra buildings that I don't know if you need. But Meg, the real question is, when are we playing with the achievements so we can then put out a review on the channel of the Puerto Rico in its current prototype stage? Because we have it for a reason. Awakened Realm sent us a copy for a reason. We need to actually put out a video, and I've had it since like January, so we're running a little late on it. Aaron, I always see Deep Rock Galactic behind you. I passed on the Kickstarter, everything's still on pre-order. Are the expansions good, helpful, needed? I have only played the base game, so I can't comment the expansions. ACS, did you play Dead Cells solo? It's better solo in my opinion. I have played it both solo and two-handed. Not two-handed, sorry. I have played it both solo and two-player so far. I instinctively think I want to go through it solo, but we'll see. Brian, I ended up caving on getting UTS specifically for solo play similar to Mage Knight. I hope you enjoy it. Jeremy, I'll be watching the Compound Interest video after this video. Seems like a great, insightful video. I think Gary is full of things that are very insightful. I don't think everything Gary says, Gary's the economics guy. I don't think everything he says do I completely agree with, but I think there's truth to everything he says, and I think he takes a slightly darker take than I personally believe. I don't know if I'm right, but I think he's very insightful, and I think I would recommend throwing a grain of salt into it. Alex, Brian, have you ever played Ashes Reborn? Are you going to play Ashes Ascendancy? No and no. I got Ashes. I learned how to play it way back when. Not even Reborn. The original Ashes I got, learned how to play, never actually played any of it, but I'm always open to it. ACS, I hear you. I'm not super political though, and I don't have strong thoughts, but I'm willing to have calm discussions. I think it's important in anything political, but we rarely see that. It's so complicated out there. Oh my gosh, it's so complicated. I hate life right now. I like life, but I hate parts of life. Because here's the problem we have. And these are real conversations that are very tricky to have. Very, very tricky. Because there's a segment of people that are like, hey, we can disagree on politics. And there's another segment of people that says, when politics is taking away other people's rights, then we can't just have a calm discussion. Like, if you're someone who's like, hey, I'm not here to be for or against Hitler, I'm just on the side, then there are people who can reasonably say, well, that feels like you're part of the problem then. The tricky part is that at what point does something become so bad that we can sit there and say, well, anyone who's not against it is supporting Hitler, effectively. And the problem is, you can say those words anytime you want. Anytime someone agrees with you, you can immediately say, well, you're a Nazi, so I don't have to listen to you. And you're a Nazi, so you're part of the problem. You can always say that. I usually don't agree with those words. I think that life is getting crazier and crazier, that there's a certain point where I don't know where life is right now. I don't, but I would say that I guess my 2 cents is, even if you are someone who voted in a way that could be completely damaging, I think to treat people as if they're the enemy, when they don't perceive themselves as doing anything bad, will only cause to add to the divide, regardless of who's right. If someone voted a certain way and doesn't believe that they are voting out of hate or to hurt people, but they believe they are voting for good reasons and in good ways, it doesn't matter how wrong they could potentially hypothetically be. To treat them like they're the enemy is only going to make things worse and further add to the divide we have in this country. And I think that's so complicated. I don't know why I did this. Jacob, a copy of Ostia is an hour away from selling. A copy of Ostia is an hour away from selling for nearly $800 on eBay? I have a copy of Ostia somewhere in this room. Where's my copy of Ostia? I just got Ostia. Why, there it is, right behind the camera. I have a brand new in-stream copy of Ostia. Are you telling me I can get $800 for it? I would like $800, please. What in the world? Mystery Miller, how would you structure a 24-hour board game day? I'm not entirely sure the question. Do you mean what games do I play? I mean, the way I'd structure it is I'd prep a decent amount of solo games to fill the gaps, and outside of that, I'd invite friends to certain time spots. I'd be like, hey, just tell me, like, are you coming at 7 or 6 or whatever, and then I'd just have a lot of games prepped for a variety of player counts, and including party games, so that, when we get to a certain number, or do you just want to know what games I play? Jeremy, if you could have any Death May Die content painted, what would it be? I'm in the middle of painting the new stuff. I have Season 4 painted, I'm working on Season 3. Oh, for me, it's very all or nothing. I guess maybe the Elder Gods. Okay. I don't want a mix of things, meaning the only way I'd be willing to split it up is the type of miniature. So I would prefer to have the Elder Gods painted first, okay? Then the Investigators, and then the monsters. I do not want half of the Investigators painted. I do not want half of the monsters painted. I am okay with half the Elder Gods, because since you only play with one Elder God per game, at least that wouldn't be as obvious. But if I'm playing with some painted Investigators, some not, I'd rather have all gray plastic, if that makes sense. Anyways, let's go on to the next section. This is the weirdest month in review ever. Okay. Anyways, next section is my favorite videos of the month. So this one I actually did in advance. These are my own videos on the channel, so I'm just going to go ahead and do these. Number 5 is a GameFound update. I did an update on GameFound. The reason this is my favorite videos is not because I like the video that much, but because I got like almost no pushback for doing that video, and I appreciate that. It's not that I'm secretly trying to get to a point where I can put out a GameFound video every month and not get pushback. No, I think I hadn't done a GameFound video in like a year, but I appreciate the fact that I guess there's a weird balance when you have multiple jobs, and in fact when there's a conflict of interest. And I appreciate that my audience is you guys are at a point where I could do something like that, and those that like it like it. Those that want to watch the video want to. Those that don't. And that's fine. I'm not saying every video should be for you, but I am very grateful for the fact that I didn't get a lot of pushback on the video. So that's honestly why that's there. Number 4 is Iridia, my Iridia review, or I guess our Iridia review, because Meg was in that as well. That was my 4th favorite video of the month. I've been enjoying Iridia. I need to continue playing it, but I also need to play Elden Ring, which I have this one guy who comments on every other video, like, is Elden Ring ready yet? No, I'm in the middle of the rules to go through it. I'm in the middle of the rules. There's progress, but not yet. There is a IGN review of Elden Ring if you want to check that out. Although it seems like they should have played a different box. They liked it. They gave it an 8 out of 10, but they were like, hey, we played the wrong core box. We wouldn't recommend starting here. So that's worth knowing. Number 3, best 15 hidden gems of 2023. That was my number 3rd favorite video. I love hidden gems. I love games that are not as popularly known. I like hyping up, whatever new hype thing is that I like, but I also like talking about games that aren't as well known. I will forever die on the heel that is For Northward, which is well loved, but isn't like a big name game. But I like being able to talk about smaller games. Number 2 is tabletop content creation fundamentally broken. That was the title of the video, and I stand by every single word of it. Most people agreed with the concept and the discussion and the pros and cons. I had like 1 or 2 people who were like, this is clickbait, which I disagree vehemently that it's clickbait. I think there is clickbait out there, and I have engaged in clickbait, I want to say twice on this channel. And one of those videos I hid. Like, I specifically hid it. I had a video once. I had a video that was titled, I can't remember exactly what it's titled, but it was titled something along the lines of Tom Vassell is wrong. And he had commented that he didn't like the Loki TV show, and I love the Loki TV show. So I did a video called Tom Vassell is wrong and talked about that. That was definitely clickbait, because as a board game channel, if I title a video that way, you think I'm getting into something more board gamery as opposed to like, hey, he had an opinion about a TV show that I disagreed with. That was 100% clickbait, no question. But I think I've done it like once or twice. I don't mind spicy titles. I like spicy titles. They're good for content. But I'm not going to title every review like, is this board game worth it? No, that's garbage. I was looking at an appliance the other day, and, well, I'll just tell you. I was looking at the Ninja Swirl. So, going back to earlier in the conversation, I have been looking at various things to help my current diet plans, and apparently protein ice cream is like a big thing that both satisfies your macros as well as satisfies your sweet tooth. So I've been looking into like protein ice cream options. Either way, that started with the Ninja Creamy, from there to the Ninja Swirl. And then I started looking at reviews for the Ninja Swirl. And every single stupid review is titled, is it worth it? Or the best and worst parts, or the things you need to know. And I'm like, dear Lord, not every single thing has to be so drama inspiring. I just want to see Ninja Swirl review. Not was it worth it, not, Anyways, I am happy that most reviews in the board game space have not yet fallen into everything needing a clickbaity title. But anyways, tabletop content creation was, in my opinion, is tabletop content creation fundamentally broken, is a title that will draw in the viewer, but I genuinely believe everything I said in the video about that. I think there are real problems. Even 2 seconds ago, I start by saying, hey, I'm happy I can post my GameFound update video without getting pushback, but it's still complicated. I think pushback would be reasonable. And so I think there's a problem in the board game space where there's just not enough money in the job itself. And so there's a lot of peripheral factors that make it messy. And then my favorite video for the month is the games that lasted 10 years. I have that one as my favorite video of the month. The games that lasted 10 years because I like longevity. As much as I like Cult of the New, longevity is also a factor. Ryan, I am very political, big surprise. Not a big surprise. I don't try to convince someone that doesn't want to talk about it. I'm very analytical and prefer to discuss data. If someone wants to engage and listen, I will too. Yeah, I'm here to talk to anyone about anything. And period, full stop. As long as you're willing to have a conversation, I am here for it. I just think it's the best way to engage with anyone. Nick, Guillaume, would it be advisable to buy Elf Creek board games like Merchants or Honey Buzz Fall Flavors before they're out of stock, permanently out of print? Possibly. I mean, they may go out of stock. They may have them bought up. Like, I mean, Honey Buzz, I thought Goliath Games took on Honey Buzz, but I could be wrong. No, they definitely did. I don't know if they did expansion. Fall Flavors, I don't know if they did. Nick, how do you store Cthulhu If They Die now that you have season 5 and 6, or do you have to send them back? 5 and 6 I don't have. I don't think I have to send it back, but I'm not keeping 5 and 6 as a prototype. So it's in the back room with all my prototype boxes. It's not on my official Cthulhu If They Die shelf. Mystery Miller, the games you'd play on a 24-hour day was my next question. The games you'd play on a 24-hour day? I'd have to think about it. It would be a mix of party games, solo games, and other games. I don't think I'd try to engage in super long games. I don't think I don't want, maybe I'd start with one. Like I might start with a 4-hour game or a 3-hour game. Let's start with Food Chain Magnate. But I think once you're halfway through or even less than halfway through, I just don't want the mental headspace of playing 4-hour games. I'll play a whole lot of medium games. Let's play like, 90 to 2-hour long games. I can do that. But I'd have to put together a list. I don't know it offhand. A lot of So Clover. I play a lot of So Clover. That'd be my filler game. Nick, do you still have a video table on one side of the table? Yep, it's still under here on this side. By the way, have you played Scout? What are your thoughts on it? If yes, also will you get Gwent the card game? I have played Scout. I liked it. Never enough to buy it. Will you get Gwent the card game? Not unless I see a good reason to. I'm just not interested enough. Brian T, is Elden Ring review ready yet? I love you, Brian. Jeremy, I love the storage for Clue and Die and hate it at the same time. I love the individual episodes and Elder 1 boxes, but having to carefully arrange tiles and sometimes flimsy plastic storage is yuck. Well, if you've seen my Marvel United Multiverse boxes, One Sharp Joe is working on a Cthulhu Death May Die line of boxes. And once I have that, I will happily show it off on the channel. Neon Gorilla, I love clickbait, but just try to deliver on the bait. Yes, 100%. Again, but that's not clickbait. That's not clickbait. That's the thing. An engaging title is not clickbait. Clickbait is where there's a bait and switch. You're like, hey, here's this little thing. Oh, hooked you. Now I don't have to deliver on it. Like the fish, when the fish eats the lure, it's not happy with the end result. It thought it was getting food. It was getting caught. That's why we call it bait. Bait is there to specifically pull someone in on the deception of a promise. Versus an engaging title is not necessarily deceptive. I played 100 hours of Elden Ring is a great... What did you have? You had Too Many Bones. I played Elder Scrolls. I played 100 hours of Elder Scrolls. That is a title that pulls people in a lot better than Elder Scrolls Review. But I don't think it has to be, is Elder Scrolls worth it? That's just an annoying way of saying the same thing. Versus 100 hours of Elder Scrolls starts off by informing the viewer, this isn't just a review, this is an informed review. Oh my gosh, 100 hours is a long time. It pulls a person into the content, but without a way that is deceptive. Is It Worth It is the stupidest title to any review because you're starting the premise by trying to appeal to the idea. Like there are times where it could be worth that. Like for example, I think the only 2 times that I'm okay with like, is it worth it, is if something is excessively overpriced. I think it's a reasonable question. But excessively, not expensive, excessively overpriced. So if the average board game is $60 and there's a $400 board game, is it worth it is a reasonable question. Also, was it worth the wait is a reasonable question for a game that was, 3 years delayed. But a Kickstarter game that shows up a year later, was it worth the wait is a stupid question. That's a stupid question. It's just a review at that point. But a Kickstarter game that was 3 years overdue, now it's a reasonable question. My point is I think there's ways to include titles that are reasonable. I think there's ways where you're just trying to pull people in. Question, which game would you choose? Maze Knight, Too Many Bones, or Too Many Bones from those 2? Jeremy, never heard of protein ice cream. Sounds interesting. I'm on a similar journey to shed a few pounds. Yeah, so not to get too... Dieting is fascinating because it's so uninteresting to those who aren't dieting, but it can be so interesting to those who do. Without getting too much into diet stuff, and then we'll go back to the next section and then come back to here. We actually have to wrap up soon anyway. So dieting-wise, I've done different things over the years. The last time I lost a lot of weight was literally just being very, very calorie mindful for a very long time. But this time around, I'm specifically trying to be more mindful as to how I approach it. Meaning, you can eat 1,200 calories a day, and that's sort of fine. But if you do it wrong, you're going to crash and burn. You're going to have cravings. You're going to have issues. The idea of balancing your macros is just the idea of making sure that you're being calorie restrictive while getting in the right variety of foods that will keep you sustained and full and also healthy. Like you're not just like eating fat all day long. Fat's good. Fat fills you up. But all fat's bad. So for me right now, I'm being very mindful of trying to hit roughly 14. So what I'm doing, again, I'm going to keep it short-ish, is... My maintenance weight is 2,100 calories a day. If I wanted to lose 1.5 pounds a week on average, then I'd have to bring it down to around 1,600 calories a day. Okay, so 2,100 brings down to 1,600 calories a day, something like that. I don't know the exact math. I have it in my apps. But there's a concept where, and this is not necessarily totally agreed on, but it's a thing that I've seen enough data on and happens to work for my personal preference, where the idea that your average should be 1,600 a day, but in reality, you should actually be trying to hit like 1,450 or 1,500, and then 2 days a week, you use those extra calories. The idea being that, like, let's say you're at 1,900 calories a day twice a week, and the rest of the week you're at 1,500 calories, and then averages out to the same. And the reason for that is it kind of stops your body from just going into starvation mode, because your body's like sees that calorie surge, and you're like, oh, we're out of starvation mode, and it stops your body from falling into starvation mode where it tries to preserve calories. So, and then again, that one's less widely accepted, but there's enough acceptance around it. And also it works for me where that means I can be a little bit more mindful some days, and then other days I'm like, it's Taco Tuesday and we're having fun tonight. So anyways, protein ice cream though, one of the things I'm doing this time around is I'm focusing very much on building snacks into my calorie regime so that I can feel like I'm being able to do fun things throughout the day while being minimally damaging in how that actually is. That was so uninteresting to people who aren't dieting. Nick, are you interested in, do you look at civil engineering YouTube channels such as Not Just Bikes? Never heard of that one. I love, like, there's so many channels out there that are so incredible, but I don't know specifically what civil engineering would be. Joe's CMD storage looks fantastic. I don't own it, but looks cool. Totally agree on the is it worth it. I can't answer that question for anyone. Oh, I can use is it worth it to a certain extent. To me, it has to be actually relevant to why I'm using that title. ACS, have you played The Witcher 3? Because the cards they printed for Gwent from the video game, not from the pay-to-win version. Okay, gotcha. I have played The Witcher 3. Never fell in love with it, unfortunately. Have you played Cascadia Jr.? How old do you think kids need to be to actually be able to play the beginner mode? I mean, my 5-year-old was able to play it, so that's my answer, I guess, as far as that goes. We didn't love it, unfortunately. He did a review for Cascadia Jr. Yeah, perfect. Okay, back to this thingy. Crowdfunding highlights. Oh, crud. I forgot about crowdfunding highlights. Okay, so now I need to go to my... I don't know if I'll have crowdfunding highlights this month. Let's see. To back Board Game Co. I'm going to go to my studio. Let's see. Studio over here. Let's see if we can find this. Content. And do a search. I'm trying to find this here. To back. Or not to back. So for February, do I have any crowdfunding highlights? I forgot to pull up the section beforehand. So that one's 11 days ago, which means there's still March. So this one, 3 weeks ago. Okay, let's see. Let's see if we have any highlights. I need to go to there to see the thingy. Description. Again, no, don't do that. Don't do that. I started typing description change. Okay. Grand Fondo, Vineyard, Back Avenue, Paranormal, Fate Forge, Star Driven Gateway, none of those. So far, none. Okay, so far I got no board game highlights for this month so far, but let me see if another video will pull up anything else. That one could be. Let's see the next one. Oh, that one is... Okay, there are crowdfunding highlights. There's crowdfunding highlights. We got Star Explorer I've actually played now and like a lot. We'll talk about that. But I would say A Place for All My Books would be my crowdfunding highlights. Massive Darkness would be in my highlights. And Bullet Cubed would be in my highlights. Casinopolis 2. Casinopolis 2. So that was actually a good week. The rest of them I don't know. Like, there's some other ones, like Earth Under Siege is like, it's an expansion content to a game I like, but I need to play the game more for that to matter. Which you could say about Massive Darkness 2. Massive Darkness I like enough that I'm willing to give it that exception. And we got another one over here. Let's see this next one. And then I think that's it. I think those four. Those four are my crowdfunding highlights. So we covered that section. Which brings us lastly to highlights of the month. And then we'll go back to chat to end this up. So highlights of the month is just me looking at my insights, looking at the games I played. These are specifically my highlights, but from games that are not new to me. So to my highlights, I'm going to throw Revive in. I've been having a blast playing through Revive. I played it 9 times in February. I played a bunch in January. I played it in March. But in February, I played it 9 times. And I'm excited to play it more. So I'm still loving Revive. I think it's such a good game. I'm losing most of them. But I'm loving the process of losing them. So Revive is probably my number 1 highlight for the month. Outside of that, from new to me, from not new games, Daybreak, I'm still loving Daybreak. It's a lot of fun. Tamashii. Tamashii's going to get a highlight. I've been enjoying going through Tamashii. I'm still not up to where I need to be, but meaning I'm not going as fast as I would like, but it definitely gets a shout out there. Rurik Dawn of Kiev. Oh my gosh, that might be above Revive. I played Rurik and hadn't played it in a while, and it was everything I wanted it to be. Like, Rurik was a good reminder of how good of a game it is. Every time I play Rurik, it's so ridiculously good, and I love Rurik, so Rurik's definitely getting my number 1 over there. So Rurik, Revive, I said Tamashii and something else. Tamashii and... what is the other one I said? I said Daybreak. Daybreak was the other one. And then outside of that, what would be my last one? My last highlight could be Castle Combo. I played a bunch of Castle Combo this past month, and I've really enjoyed going through it. So Castle Combo still gets, like, Faraway's also in there, but we'll give it to Castle Combo. So those are my highlights for the month, which means it's time to go back to chat and wrap this up. I need to pull you guys back up because I was browsing YouTube, which ruined it all. Let's go back to chat and then wrap up our weekly, our month in review live. Mr. Miller, thanks for answering one last question today. If you could only play one game a day for the rest of your life, what would they be? I.e. Monday a game, Tuesday a game, Wednesday a game. One game a day for the rest of your life, what would they be? So you want 7 games, My 7 games that I can only play, I'd have to think about that. That's not an easy one to answer. That is not an easy one to answer. I have to think about longevity. I would say Cthulhu Death May Die would be in there. I think so. I don't think heavy games would make the cut. Like, super heavy games would probably not make the cut. Revive, honestly, no, Casa Burgundy, Cthulhu Death May Die. I'm trying to think of games that I don't want to do smaller games because they're not going to be satisfying enough to fulfill only one game a day for the rest of my life. But I also don't want to do games that I haven't actually played enough to really buy into how much I enjoy them. So I'm trying to think of games that are more than, let's say, 90 minutes, but that I've played like at least 20 plays of. Which, I mean, honestly, you can watch my most played games video. If you went to my most played games video, I would probably pick the ones in that video that I've played the most that are also longer. That's my answer. But from that, I'm saying Cthulhu Death May Die and Casa Burgundy. Outside of that, like right now, Revive would potentially be eligible because I'm having so much fun continuously playing it. It's great. Too Many Bones could be eligible, but it might be too much. If I'm only playing 7 games, do I want a game? You know what? I want a solo game in there. Let's say Too Many Bones. I'm not sticking to this. This might be true, might not be true. Do I want Zombicide in there? No, I have Cthulhu Death May Die already. That fits the same, scratches the same itch. Probably Marvel Champions. Marvel Champions is a reasonable choice. I think you got 4 to me. Lost Ruins of Arnak. Oh my gosh, I've played so much Lost Ruins of Arnak. That's 5. You got 5 answers for me. That's good enough. Would you recommend getting Rainbow Six Siege board game now that the company's taken it over? I love Rainbow Six Siege board game with the caveat that I don't play 2-player longer games as much as I would like. So I have it. I like it. I have not gotten rid of it, but I don't play it as much as I'd like, so it's hard to answer. Mystery Miller, enjoy the rest of your day. Keep being yourself. Thank you. Brian, Nick, yes, and Steamforge won't ransom your copy like another company? Yes. Professor Meg, Puerto Rico is the highlight for the month. Meg, Puerto Rico was only played in March. This is all but February. I know and yes, it probably will make the highlights, but this is for February, and I only played Puerto Rico for the first time in March. Brian, I'm feeling that Meg really likes Puerto Rico. Brian, you have no idea. So, Meg, when do we get to watch a live playthrough of Puerto Rico? Let me enjoy your joy. I don't know. I've played it like 4 times with her now. I don't know if the joy comes through doing the game itself. The joy comes through when, like, we're all done playing, and immediately she turns to the rest of the table and goes, again? That's when the joy comes through. Not doing the play itself. Message retracted. Yes, we can play on board BGA. Yes, we can. Yes, yet we can play on BGA. Or I assume you mean yes. I'm not entirely sure what. Also, I'm not sure I'm loving it on BGA for the record. I'm not sure I am. It's so much. I'm not loving it on BGA. I'll play through it, but I'm not loving it on BGA. Ryan. Is Meg pushing advertising for Awakened Realms? She's the preview queen. Conspiracy? Just kidding. No, but it does feel like she's doing the job there. We all played Puerto Rico. Basically, I bought Puerto Rico to Adam, which is a retreat that we went to, and we all played Puerto Rico. Not we all. 5 of us played Puerto Rico. And I liked it, and Meg loved it. And then we've since been playing it in our game group here, and I have grown on it. Meg's like here the whole time. I went from like, I like it to continuously growing on it. So I am appreciating it a lot more, and I'm happy that she's pushing for it, because I don't know how much I would have cared to continue to go back to it again and again, but it's definitely happening more, and I'm really liking it a lot now. And I'm excited for all the expansion stuff. Like, we played with 1 expansion so far. The prototype copy we have doesn't have them all. It has 3 expansions, I believe, and one of them I don't have rules for, so... And that's the new one where I can't just find the old rules. It's the achievements. But there's basically a festival, the smuggler, and then the achievements, which I don't have rules for. So I'll probably incorporate the festival next time we play. The smuggler we've already incorporated, and then the new buildings and the other expansion, I don't remember what they are, those I just don't have in this prototype copy. But either way, she is liking it, and I'm excited for Agricola. I'm excited for Agricola Special Edition, because Casa Burgundy Special Edition is top-notch, Puerto Rico Special Edition is top-notch. It makes the game so much better. And Agricola, I already liked Agricola, but I am curious. I'm curious what they're going to change for the Special Edition. Past zombies, obviously. Anyways, it is 5:02, and I have things to do before... Well, everything. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I appreciate you all being here for this monthly live, and I'm going to go ahead and turn that off there and then figure out what I'm doing next today. Have a good one, everyone, and I shall see you.